presentation on Marco Polo. I guess before I begin, like, just probably like a show of hands. Like, when you did any Marco Polo, like, what? This is a show of hands. Yes. Exploring. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
That's rude. No, I'm sorry.
Okay, so we got exploring. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say that the game.
Of course, Joseph.
China.
And
Thank
right,
you.
so they're all right, and I guess to start off my thing, I found some funny, I guess, videos on YouTube. So about Marco Polo.
Marco Polo, I think you're Helen Keller. Marco. Marco. Marco.
Oh, that's so
Marco. 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 Marco.
So,
Is it escape? Yeah. Escape.
I don't know.
Just press that.
Click that.
Back there,
There
okay.
you go.
And then I also found this.
Oh no.
Here's something. Man, you do it there. Hey, Bow Wow. I got Mike sitting on speed now. I'm driving on the work release now. You, soldier boy, gonna make me your booty boy. You ever had a piece of booty in your booty boy? It ain't pretty. Make it look like a baboon about it, booty boy. Y'all get to clean up. How's we supposed to clean up and you keep talking? Figure it out.
So what's the deal? Everybody do it like this. Just hit everybody.
Okay.
So I'm restraining everybody in free Marco Polo all day.
Right?
Send the message out. That's a fact.
I just sent it out, man. Let's get it popping.
This was a
Oh, that's a
song.
video.
I forgot this was a song.
What's the way it's so efficient, man?
Rappers working together finally.
I just wanted to, I guess, sniff a little humor there, but let's get to the real Marco Polo. So, basically Marco Polo, he was a very famous merchant traveler who was from the nation, like, I guess, capital, not capital, but like state of Italy, because I guess during this period, like, Italy was kind of broken into different city-states. I guess he's most famous for, writing his, or recording his travels throughout, I guess the western part of the world, not western, but the eastern part of the world, my bad. Yeah, the eastern part of the world, which includes China and India. And he kind of wrote this at a time before, like, exploration was really big. Like, he predated at least, like, 200 years before Christopher Columbus and the big guys like Fernando, Velasco and Ponce de Leon. So, what he did was really important because he opened the world's eyes to what was available to the rest of the world and other parts. And his most famous book, which was The Diversity, which is, and here is excerpts from it. It was written while he was actually in prison during the Venetian Wars. And it's kind of weird because he was in prison with a famous Italian writer named Rustilio.
What's the cello?
But, it's sad, I have Italian relatives, like, I can't even pronounce crap, but I don't think there's no relation to, like, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, but this guy was, he was a famous Italian, like, romance writer, and it was just, I guess, kind of weird, like, they got put in prison together because they were captured on a boat, like, off an island where a battle was happening, and he basically just sat in front of him and just told him all these stories, and it was compiled into this book. And for the longest, a lot of people thought that a lot of things he told about weren't true. And it would seem that way. I mean, depending on, like, some of the stories he told were kind of outrageous. You wouldn't think that the normal everyday person could do something like this. So, we'll get into his life. He, I guess, wanted to become a merchant because his father and his uncle, his father, Niccolo, and his uncle, Flavio, they were both merchants. And before Marco was born, they had left and ventured off into the eastern lands themselves. And during this time, Marco was raised by his mother, who eventually died. And by the time he was 17, his father and uncle finally returned home. And by this time, he had kind of finished up his education. He was very, very intelligent. Just as you can see here, like he was really into merchant studies, so he learned about, appraisals and the tricks of trades and, how to use boats. And when his father and uncle returned, they saw how much he'd progressed, and immediately said, we're going to go back to China and show you the things that we found. And so they left from Venice to go to China, and there they met Kublai Khan, who was the grandson of the great Genghis Khan, who was like the Mongolian emperor who came over and basically shut down the Chinese Empire. And Khan is basically famous for establishing the Yuan dynasty, which was probably one of the bigger Chinese dynasties because it extended into parts of Vietnam, Korea, and Mongolia, as well as all of China. So it was pretty big. And when they first went to China, they met Khan. And Khan was really interested in Marco because he was just so young, but so intelligent at the same time. And he saw, how wise he was. And so he basically made him his own personal messenger errand boy. And for about 17 years, Marco legitimately just ran errands for Khan. He ran missions back to to Rome to bring priests, so that the Chinese could learn about their religion and things that they had. He also went through various journeys through jungles and deserts. I mean, just the whole nine. He set the standard, I guess, for early exploring. And because of his fulfillment to Khan's request, he was given the title of Lord Mark Polo. I don't know if that's sort of dialect or, because sometimes people who may speak broken languages kind of cut off syllables or vowels. And he basically sat by Khan's side, worked with him for 17 years before he left for India, where he eventually met the Sumatras and learned about Buddha and whatnot. I didn't really go too much into all that because the most important stuff that he brought back was from China and Khan itself. And so, I guess to wrap things up, I just found this one little video on it's an animated series on famous explorers who work out, but it's short and it's not as ridiculous as last video.
I don't think that's possible. Right. I think you topped it up.
It's filled with wonders. I saw nuts growing on trees that were as big as your head. Oh, come on now. It's true. It was on an island called Sumatra. The natives told me there were men with tails on this island. Tails!
I meant coconuts.
And
Yeah.
he said it was not wise to laugh about men with tails.
Like what?
What kind of animal is it?
Hey, Polo story, eh? Do you think it's true?
No chance. Are you kidding?
Of course it isn't true. But he's such a good storyteller.
Don't pay any attention to them, Captain Polo. This is for you. The Travels of Marco Polo. It's the book I've always wanted to write, but it belongs to you. It's your story.
I think they were hugging friends.